Guys, we don't do the intro thing. They're rude. Scott, we got a 12-team Superflex PPR 1.75 for the tight end start 10. Are we going Marv in the 104 or Justin Jefferson? Go ahead, man.
Well, happy Tuesday to the fine people. 104 and Marvin Harrison. So I'm getting a top 5 dynasty receiver in Marvin Harrison. That's what he was last year. Is he that anymore? No. He's not. He's not. He's still, I think, a coveted asset that is probably has some polarizing value in your league. So if I could turn around and go, okay, I can now get Malik Neighbors or Brian Thomas or CD Lamb or someone like that in a deal where I don't have to give up the 104 and Marvin Harrison. Hell, I might be able to turn around and give up Marvin Harrison and the 201 and get one of those guys. And then I'm like, I kind of like the deal with the 104 and the extra piece versus Justin Jefferson. But if I know I'm just stuck with Marvin Harrison and the 104 especially doesn't have an appetite where 104 is going to be a good player, it's going to have some flexibility. But I don't think a lot of people are trading things you really want right now for the 104. They're kind of like, I'll just wait and see how the combine plays out, the Senior Bowl, and even the draft before they're really into whatever that 104 is going to be. So I think I'll take Jefferson unless my league is going to allow me to make another move with Marvin Harrison, should I choose to do it that way.
Shane, if there's ever been a Justin Jefferson fan on our show, it's you. Which side are you taking here, man? It's a 12-team Superflex PPR 1.75 for the tight ends. Start 10. That does not include kicker and defense. Marv in the 104 or Jefferson?
I mean, I did like Scott's if this, then that scenarios because I'm big on those, right? Because those are fun in management. You always want to prepare. So if I do trade Justin Jefferson for the 104 and Marvin Harrison, and then trade Marvin Harrison in the 201 and the 208 for CD Lamb, then I have CD Lamb in the 104. Would you do 104 and CD Lamb for Justin Jefferson? Would you be happy with that return? You wouldn't be happy with that return?
The difference is you'd have to kick in those seconds, which if you kicked those in this deal, you wouldn't care. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think if that's the two deals combined, you're going to take whatever player you get that's better than Marv plus the 104. Doesn't matter what peripheral stuff I have to add. So in that case, yes, if you can do that, 100%.
I want Marv. This isn't how I want to go about getting him. I don't want to be giving up the wide receiver 1B in Dynasty Football, Dynasty Fantasy Football, what we play. I know that we're more short-sighted. That's not how I want to get there. I will say this, if you're trying to split JJ because your team is ass cheeks and you need to spread them open, I could see doing that split because then you'll be thinking of, stop it, Clay, come on, be an adult. Because then maybe you could split the 104 as well. So I want to say this is a little closer to roster dependent, but all things being equal, I'd probably just hold on to Mr. Jefferson.
I think we should repeat that point that Shane just made. It's a very dapper point made this early in the stream. If you have to trade Jefferson and that is your goal, if you're putting him on the trade block for a specific reason, you're probably not getting a better offer than this. A young player that you should be able to move and a top 4 pick.
Right.
Like if you're saying I want more might come in a different form that you really don't want as much. You know what I mean? So this is probably the best offer you get if you've already made the determination that you're trying to split a elite asset on your roster. You're not getting a better offer than this. You might say, oh, I'd rather have Malik Neighbors. I'd rather have Brian Thomas. I'd rather have the 103. I'd rather have the 102. How many teams with all of those assets are offering you 2 of them? Rare. Right. So this is a deal you probably just take if that's the goal, is to split an asset like Jefferson.
Yeah, if you've BTJ, the serial killer, and if you have Malik Neighbors, maybe you add a second, and it's more because of preference. I guess you're more probably, I think the consensus would be more people would be willing to add to BTJ to get to Jefferson than they would Neighbors. And
what would you have to add to Marv once you get him to realistically pry Neighbors or BTJ from somebody? Because I don't think like a 208 gets it done.
I think you'd have to give up another first. to actually get him. Now, whether that's worth the cost is a whole other thing, right?
You got the person with neighbors values him like Justin Jefferson.
Exactly.
So like the thought that you could just add a second, especially in the league where they just saw Jefferson go for Marv in the 104. They're not going to go, okay, here, Marv in the 204 gets my Malik Neighbors.
So,
they're going to go, no, the market's different now.
So vibe with me here. So you're rebuilding. You're not selling Neighbors for Marv in a 27 first.
I think it's the same boat as this deal. If you have to make that move, then you're not getting a better split deal than something like that, probably.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. I don't know. I don't think they're that far off.
I don't do a great thing of, right? But I guess it's limited to the amount of trade. Getting back to Scott's point, but was my point, but he made it sound nicer or better. There's a limited number of teams that can make a deal like this with you, right? Because there's a limited number of players that you would actually accept back. Like, I'm not taking CeeDee Lamb in a 27 first because that kind of defeats the purpose. I want specifically young players, right? When I'm getting them back, and there's only a limited number of teams that are going to have the pick and the player combination that actually makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we say, at least trading studs for studs. Let's go to a super chat here from Robert A in the crowd. Thank you very much. We have 115 eyeballs in here already. Already hit that like. Great to see you. So we've got a 12-team start 8 super flex PPR half points. Okay, let me restart this. It's a 12-team super flex PPR 1.5 for the tight end start 8. So it's a very shallow format here.
Whoa. Don't call it shallow. You offend people in the YouTube comments, and I don't feel like arguing with dude again. So
no, that was a rogue thing. That was a very active comment thread there. Anyway, it is a shallow league. 12 teams start 8. Burrow, Hurts at quarterback, Barkley, Hall, Chuba Hubbard, Connor at running back, Chase, Jefferson, BTJ, Evans, and then Kelce at tight end. Lost in the finals. Thoughts on sending one of the QBs with Jefferson for Caleb / Bijan / Bowers? Okay, so you're sending one of Burrow and Hurts with Jefferson to get Caleb, Bijan, and Bowers. What do you think? Talk it through.
Man. So it's a start 8. I mean, yeah, you're trading away Jefferson, but you're getting back Bijan and Bowers, which are literally the hammers at their respective positions too. And you also have Chase and BTJ as well. So you have some flexibility, I guess, in a half PPR. Let me ask you this, Shane. I would trade Jefferson for Bijan and Bowers, right? That's a no-brainer in a start 8. You're getting 2 in a half PPR, especially. I mean, Bijan probably outscores Jefferson in a typical year, and you're getting Bowers on top. So then it comes down to, would you rather have the Burrow Chase stack or the Jalen Hurts as your QB1 with Caleb? Because I think I'm kind of indifferent to that deal. I think I'm taking the deal with whatever quarterback. If I have to give up Hurts, I would even do it, because I think you're betting on Caleb. I mean, he's not going to be probably as good as the other two, but he just has to be probably decent, and I think you win this deal.
Yeah.
But I can also see where the Jalen Hurts and Justin Jefferson side is 2 hammers, you know what I mean?
Is happy as well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a fair deal.
Yeah, no, I like this. I would probably lean towards the Bijan and Bowers side, just because, you know, Bowers is a 1 of 3, 1 of 4 type of player at that position. And Bijan, he is what we thought he was supposed to be coming out of college, right? 22 points per game or 20 points per game. Like, the dude's kind of a monster.
And I think another thing we have to consider here is Burrow probably just had his best season. And Jalen Hurts, whether he's a good fantasy or quarterback or not, people don't really like him.
No.
So I think you could argue that in 6 months, Caleb is equal to these guys. just given the situation. Now, is Caleb going to... Let me ask you this, Shane. Does Caleb Williams ever have a season even as good as Burrow's this year? So you think he does?
Fucking lootly.
Okay. If you think he does, then you're doing this trade, because the 2 quarterbacks you're trading away have probably had their best seasons fantasy-wise. And so Caleb is up. let me put it this way. I think with Caleb, you have a quarterback you're getting back that if you don't like him, you could probably get another quarterback that you like for not that different of a price.
Right. And
I'm
you
doing
still,
it
If it's a 6 point, I'll keep Burrow.
yeah, and either way,
4 point, give me Hurts.
you either have Burrow or Hurts. It doesn't really matter.
Correct.
And the 6.4 point doesn't matter when it comes to Hurts because he's going to get you 10 rushing touchdowns on average, even in a bad season. So I'm not that concerned about the 4.6 point, John.
John, I hadn't heard John in a while. Nicely done. All right, let's go to another one. This one from Tatum was starred in the crowd. Shane, Anthony Richardson and a 27 first or CJ Stroud? He would be acquiring Stroud, so giving ARich and a 27 first for Stroud. What do you think?
I'm trying to move off of Stroud, but not for this. No, I'm just going to hold on.
You're getting a 1 in 12. You're getting an 8% chance at Jeremiah Smith, Shane.
Oh, well, yeah, no. Someone, Cody, I think it was Cody to put in the comments last week. It's a 12 copy league of Jeremiah Smith, just Jeremiah Smith. Everyone gets one, which would basically mean no one gets one.
Unless you get all 12.
Oh, I would trade for all 12 and then I have 12 Jeremiah Smiths. I love it. Wow. Next level. Start 12. It's a start 12 Jeremiah Smith league. I could see moving Stroud for this because a 27 first and a quarterback is kind of what you're looking for. And if you think Stroud is closer to what we saw this previous season than the prior season, I understand it. I actually think Stroud's going to be a consistent top 10 quarterback. I feel like I'm going to be a Stroud defender after destroying them all last year, but I'm going to take Stroud here.
What about
I'll say this.
Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson?
Bryce Young. So, yeah.
Because I think if you have Richardson in this deal, you could probably turn it into a quarterback close to Bryce Young or Brock Purdy or someone. You know what I mean? Like if you have Richardson, if you're willing to add another player or add a second, I think you can go shopping in that next tier of QBs that you would have been willing to tier off of Stroud for if you got a first. Mm-hmm. So I think it's having the second deal in mind, not that you have to be sold on Richardson, but you can now move Richardson in a lesser leverage deal that you have to pay the leverage to get another quarterback that you prefer more.
Yeah. Oh, look at Blinds. Not only a super chat, $20. Thank you very much. But look at the new avatar for Blind here. Yeah. Pretty dope. Are those catfish? Is that what I'm saying? Look like they have whiskers.
Pisces.
I'm a Pisces. Go Pisces. Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
Clay knows.
Really, it's okay.
It's caused all the deviations in life that he's done.
It's not my fault. It's just the fucking astrology. Okay, Blind, thank you for the super chat. This is a 12-team super flex PPR 1.5 for the tight end, start 10. Your quarterbacks are, what do you know? Hurts, Anthony Richardson. Put it back up, man. What are you doing?
What did you do?
Shane got a little click happy there.
Yeah, it said Coy. Hurts, Anthony Richardson, Bryce, Gino at quarterback, Bijan, Connor, Monty, Dowdle at running back. Your wide receivers, Scott, are Garrett Wilson, JSN, Devontae Smith, Downs, and Terry. And then you have Kittle and Kelce at tight end. Pick-wise, you have 111 and 201. You also have the 210, 212, all your 26s and 27s. What are some early moves I can make with this squad? So again, it's just a 12 by 10 small tight end premium. What are you doing here, Scott?
Yeah, this is one of those rosters where do you want to start? Because you have a good team, right? You have the framework of every position has something to build off of. You have some picks, you have some vets, but you also have some flexibility in terms of players if you wanted to move them. First thing that sticks out to me with this roster is too many quarterbacks. I don't need all four of those quarterbacks. I probably don't need two of those quarterbacks at least, if not three of them. Like I have some quarterbacks here that all hold a little degree of value, meaning Hurts, top 6-ish value. Richardson and Bryce, top 20-ish value. Geno Smith, probably the lowest form of tearing down to a guy that probably is a little better than we give him credit for, but just nobody really values. Like he's at the bottom. He's basically Matt Stafford, but he's guaranteed to play longer. That's pretty much it. Like he's year to year at this point. Right. And so I'm looking
What do you think about this, man? So, because you said you're too heavy on quarterback, so let's address that. I look at the wide receiver room on this team. I'd love to see that like a little bit stronger. How are you turning one of those quarterbacks into making a better wide receiver on that team? I mean, I guess we'll see if you agree first off. I mean, I think the running back room's fine, but you go ahead.
I think the only thing that this team needs at receiver is a elite receiver, but I don't think you're getting there with the quarterback. You know, I'm not right now. I'm not trying to add a first to a guy like JSN to get a better receiver. Like that's not how I typically build teams in the offseason. I'm focused more on this team. If you just ran this team back next year, is good enough to win. Is it the best team? No. Are there some weaknesses? Are there some players I'd like to trade? Yes. But I think this team has the makings of liquidate a couple pieces, notably a quarterback, maybe two. Maybe you have one deal where you can give up a little leverage to go get a better player, you know, an upgrade from a Devontae Smith or Josh Downs or somebody like that. But you also have these picks. You have the 111, the 201, then you have the 10, the 12, and all your 26 and 27 picks. I kind of want to just bring this team to the season, and I don't want to do all my moves today. This is not a team with two holes before I start the year that I need to fix before I'm competitive. This team is already a playoff team. So I kind of want to go into next year, like, can I just run this team back? Maybe I pay a little bit to upgrade from Josh Downs or, you know, get another running back that I feel a little better on than Rico Dowdle. But, like, I can go to this team next year, start the season. But I want to have an extra first in my pocket. I want to have a couple extra seconds. I want to have a couple extra thirds. Like this team is going to probably need fixed on the fly, but it's good enough to win today.
Yeah.
So I'm focusing on making sure I don't get cute and consolidate and make all of these picks. How do I get an extra first out of this team? Can I get a 26 first by trading away Travis Kelce in the 201? Travis Kelce in the 111? Can I get a decent 26 first for that? Like, that's the kind of move you make.
Do that right now. Not Travis Kelce right now. But
you don't think the 111 and Kelce would get you a random 26 first right now?
I guess I just feel like I do to watch the news every day just to like check in on that. Like, who knows? He's too volatile to be able to.
But that's why 90% of that trade is you're giving the 111. You're giving Travis Kelce for free. So I think the other manager looks at it like, well, if Kelce plays again, I get a little piece on top of the 111, plus all I'm giving up is a 26 first. But we also know if Kelce retires, or it's even thought that he's going to retire, or, you know, that nothing really positive can happen for Kelce's dynasty value. So if you can get a deal done where you throw him in to the 111 and get a future first, I love that kind of deal. And just bank the first for next year. I don't even want to have to make the 111 on this team.
Go ahead, Shane.
One thing that's positive that can help his dynasty value is that either Buffalo, Washington, or the Eagles stomp a mud hole into that goddamn awful, terrible, evil Chiefs team. And he decides that he needs to come back and try to three-peat because he'll play till he's 45 at that point. And his dynasty value could stick. I was kind of thinking, can I move these 111s for multiple seconds? Not 111s because there's only one of them, but can I get multiple seconds for that 111 and just take dart throws at the second round picks?
But what's the end game with that?
Mm-hmm.
Like I
more is good.
But is it?
Well,
more is good when they're good.
It's a
more
50,
is bad
shot.
when you spend. Well, but I look at this.
Watch your mic, Scott.
What are you going to draft? Are you going to draft running backs with those picks? Probably.
I'm drafting whatever's BPA at that point. It could be Trey Harris. It could be some other wide receiver I can't remember the name of.
In a start 10, though, does that
running back?
I guess this is where we differ. When I have a team like this, I don't need to make this team better. I want to add flexibility to this team. So sure, if I draft the right players and they're more flexible, then yes. But I feel like if I can go into next year with an extra first, an extra second, and an extra third.
Right. If I could trade the 111 for a 26 first, I would automatically do it. I don't know if people are going to do that. Again, I've talked about I'll trade the 111 for 27 first. I'm still waiting for Clay's offer. I'll trade the 111.
Which league was that? OGs?
I don't remember.
But Shane, that's what he's
first.
that's what he's asking
I'm
for.
literally loading hammers and everything like that. Go ahead,
That's
all the
what he's
time?
asking for. Every
Try to trade that 111 for the 26. Just go down. What have you got? 12 teams in there. You go down all 12. When they decline that, go and try to 27.
11. You're not trading with yourself.
Well, yeah, 11 teams.
But I think when people ask what should we do, what would we do? If I say I trade the 111 and try to get a 26 first out of it, I would literally send out 11 offers where I offer the 111 and Rico Dowdle for it, 111 and Travis Kelce for it. You know what I mean? Like I'm sending out 22 trades. And if all 22 reject, then the market to get a 26 first is probably not there yet with my 111. But you'd be surprised that just one of those accepts and all of a sudden you have a 26 first just sitting in your pocket and the deal's done. The work's done. You don't have to touch that team for another couple months.
Man, yeah.
Scott, can you check this out, by the way? Is it the OG league where we're talking about doing this? Can you do me a favor and see what first I have? I already have a late one. Shane's talking about giving me what pick
112 for 27.
It's a 14. It's a 14 teamer.
Yeah,
You're giving me.
23rd.
Yeah, if you could just scout that out.
I'm scouting it out for you right now. Shane has the. Shane's pulling the rug up over your head here, Clay. He's got the 101, 102, 104, 107, and 108. So he's definitely trading from the bottom of the barrel to Clay.
Well, I'm not going to trade any of the top if it doesn't have a.
Well, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's bake in the 108 somehow. So my 27 first. How do I get to the 108? What else do I have, Scott?
A couple seconds.
You have the 113. So you would get 112 and 113, Clay. You would hold the back-to-back, baby.
Last year, that would have been Michael Penix and Bo Nix.
Ooh. You don't have much else. You have a late second. You have 2 late seconds, the 209 and the 212, but then you don't have any picks till 2027. So you would have to you'd probably have to add the 113 to the 27 first to get the 108.
I need a little something back if I'm giving that 27 first. What does Shane have to kick back?
Value of money. Time value of money means that 112 is infinitely more.
Does he have a 27 second?
Shane, would you give the 107 and the? Let's see if you got a 25, 107 and a 26 second for the 113 and a 27 first. You'd still have 3 picks ahead of it.
Yeah, send it. I'll look at it.
Yeah, I'm the one scouting out the trade. You are sending shit right now.
Yeah, send that in the private comments and we'll think about that.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's good stuff. Okay, Dirty Bird up here. Caleb and BTJ or Jaden Daniels. This is a 14-team super flex. Start 9. What do you think here? Let's help out Dirty Bird.
Come on, Shane. Come on, Shane. No, Shane's thinking. It's his to answer. This is a tough one. How much? Shane just said he thinks Caleb will have a better season than Joe Burrow's 22.7 points per game he just had, which is
aggressive.
That's big talk. That's saying Caleb's got a top 5 season or better in his arsenal coming.
But when I got to give up
BTJ on top. But
when I have to give up JD5, it feels a little different. Because he's, it's
great, nasty in not like he's going to score 28 a game for the rest of his career.
But he is right now. I haven't looked on KTC, but I'll just guess he's probably the Dynasty.
He's a top
1 overall
6 player in Dynasty. I think he's
probably number 1.
Yeah. What is he on the machines these days? Oh no, I would still if I'm sitting on the clock, I'm still taking Josh Allen over Jaden Daniels personally. If I'm not trading, if I'm just picking, what's the crowd pick? Let's see what the crowd says.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think I'll go Caleb and BTJ. The chances are
you're not getting a better deal. You're never getting a better offer than this. That's the thing.
No, absolutely not. No, it's not like someone's going to be like, all right, here's Jalen Hurts and BTJ for Jaden Daniels. Oh, all right. Well, that's great. Joe Burrow and BTJ. Like, that's not going to happen. So
that's a good trade.
Yeah.
Which side do you pick, Scott? Did you pick a side?
I think I'm taking I'm not even as aggressive as Shane on the Caleb is going to have a top 5 season, but there's other people that are thinking that. There's people that are just thinking, oh, he's got Ben Johnson now, like wheels up for Caleb Williams, which means this offseason, that hype is only going to continue to grow. Whatever they do is going to be seen as a positive for him, which means you're going to have a quarterback that if you do want to move from Caleb to Burrow or Caleb to Stroud or Caleb to Hurts, like all those deals are on the table if you're willing to include him. So I think you're not just getting a good leverage trade here, but you're getting a very live asset that is not like, truthfully, if that is like Mahomes or Burrow instead of Caleb, I'm less likely to do it because I don't think they have the clout to be moved potentially at the same degree that Caleb might. You know what I mean? Like they kind of are what they are. So yeah, I think that's the component you have to think about is it's a 14-teamer. If you're wrong on the Caleb move, you hope you got rid of him or you hope you traded him for somebody else. Otherwise, you're going to look back and go, I mean, how many teams right now in 14-team deep leagues are you saying if you just had Allen and Hurts, you don't even care who your skill players are, right? You just, you got some over time and you're competing every year with those QBs. And that's probably what Daniels ends up being.
Yeah, and if anybody's curious, when we were rapping back and forth about trading in the Dynasty Trades in 5 OG League, that's a 14-team Superflex start 11. Okay, so that's a deep format. That's a lot of fun. Get you in a 14-team Superflex start 11. Okay, but have good quarterbacks. With or without the scooter stick. All right, let's go to Buy Me a Coffee. All right, so buymeacoffee.com/trades-in-5. You can buy us hammers. We answer them over there, and we try to answer them on streams as well, where possible. Much lower rake over there. An anonymous donor gave us 3 hammers. Thank you very much. Shane, this is a 12-team Superflex PPR. It is a 0.2 PPC, so point per carry. Every rush attempt is 0.2. It's 1.75 for the tight ends. Start 10. Was in the startup last year and thought I would try something different. I absolutely punted the startup, and literally the only piece I have is May. Have the 101, 104, 106, 110, 112. He's got 6 25 seconds, 8 26 firsts, and 2 27 firsts. Have a slew of thirds and fourths as well. Yeah, of course you do. Ended up with 23. This is just funny. Ended up with 23 2025 picks and 23 2026 picks. I feel like I have a stranglehold over the picks in this league, but I'm wondering what the best way is to capitalize on it. Okay, Shane, clean this up. 12-team Superflex, start 10. There's a decent point per carry, tight end premium. Drake May is your only player on your team. You have a bunch of picks. What are you doing?
So there's a PPC and a tight end premium.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a perfect fucking draft for you. So Scott's going to hate this. You've accrued 15 first-round draft picks over the next 3 years, with the bulk of them coming in the next 2 years. I'm making every fucking pick. Blow me. This was my strategy, right? My strategy was that was uncalled for. I don't know why I'm saying blow me. Like you sent me an offer, and my response is just blow me. That's uncalled for. Completely uncalled for. I apologize. But no, my strategy was, right, I'm going to suck terribly. I'm going to get all these picks, and then I'm going to make them. I'm going to absolutely make them because there's a pretty good chance that half of them are going to go wrong. But you know what? That means half of them went right. And I will say this is a strategy that I haven't actually seen fail. Like accumulating this many picks. Like it'd be really hard to fail. The only way that you could fail, right, is if you get a half decent team after this year, after this draft, and you're like middling, right? You have an outside chance of the playoffs, and then you start getting cute and start doing things like I'm trading 3 firsts for Terry McLaurin and I don't know, Trey McBride. Maybe not Trey McBride, but you know what I mean? Like I'm trading 3 firsts for Terry McLaurin and some other rando starter. I want to make all these picks mostly because this is how you built the team, and I want to see this build through to the end. I do. Plus, and
it's freaking fun. Scott, what do you think here, man? What are you doing? Shane smashing the draft button a million times. What are you doing? You've got 23 2025 picks and 23 2026 picks. Go ahead.
I was actually thinking of an analogy because I was already preforming what my rebuttal to Shane was going to be because I didn't think he was going to say that. So my analogy is going to be like, have you ever driven through just a desolate area where there's nothing? No restaurants, no gas stations, nothing, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
But
we've
then
been
you
to
find touche. You find this one place. It's the only place where you can get anything. It's the only place you can get gas. It's the only place there's an ATM, like everything. And you get in there and they're like, all you have is cash, and the only thing they take is Apple Pay. You know, and you don't have the ability to buy what you want to buy at the time, right? So that's kind of what you have with picks. Like the league can look at you and say, I'm not going to charge you a fair price for the stuff that you're trying to buy, and probably trying to keep a lot of these picks that you don't want to trade. Because what a lot of people try to do is go, okay, like what were we just saying in the OG league? Shane has 5 top 8 picks. He would love to make those 5 picks and then trade the other picks for stuff that's just fair value for things that he needs, right? He doesn't want to have to make the seconds and the thirds. If he can buy some starters with those and then make the picks that he wants to make, that's probably the best way to do it. But if your league is going to be smart, there's a reason they let you get all these picks. They're not going to now turn around and just farm out their rosters that they've already vetted and just take picks back that are quote unquote fair value. So I think where this fails, I'm with Shane, make the early picks. I think where this fails is when you've hit on some of those picks. Let's say you had 23 picks this year, right? I believe it's 23 picks in 2025. Let's say you hit on like 11 of those, like hit on them. Like they're starting, they're players that you're like, I can start these guys and they're moderately helping me contend. What you don't want to do is just say you're not willing to move any of those players, right? Like,
Right.
I hit on Bucky Irving and Lad McConkey. I will not trade them no matter what because I hit on them. They're my guys. I picked with those draft picks that I accumulated 2 years ago. I won't trade anybody. Then your roster kind of gets stale, and the only thing you want to trade are the players that you didn't hit on. And the only ones you won't trade are the ones that everybody would willing to trade with or willing to trade for. You become stagnant again. So as long as you're just fluid and you're always be kicking the can forward, right? Like there's always room, even when you hit on some of those guys, to split them again and get 2 future firsts if it's the right deal. Like never stop, but slowly you're going to have a team that's going to be able to compete. Fast forward a year from now, this team is competing and you have all of the 2026 picks and some 2027 picks. That's where you start to really do damage.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Eric, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Eric Swedler. Shane, this is going to start with you. God, that's a lot of Shane, 12-team Superflex, PPR, 1.5 for the tight end, start 10. Herbert, Penix, Dak, and trash at quarterback. Or, I'm sorry. Herbert, Dak, Penix. He has just trash cans at running back. Neighbors, Worthy, McMillan, Ayuk. And then 101, 103, 105, 109 also has 325 seconds, 326 firsts, and 326 seconds. What should I do with my picks to start competing? What do you think, Eric? I called out Shane. But
no, because I'm just looking.
okay.
Eric, I don't know if he meant to. He has the same super chat in here twice. Anyway, one's blue and one's yellow. I don't know why that is. So anyway, Herbert, Penix, Dax, Cans, Neighbors, Worthy. It just confused me. McMillan, Ayuk. He's got Ayuk a couple times. That's troublesome.
Yeah, there's 2 Ayuks and there's 2 duplicate super chats. So Eric, thank you. But send us another question. Give us another question too.
No, it's
private message from Scott. It's fantastic.
I mean, it's 12 by 10. What do we want to do to start competing? Does making Ashton Jeanty, or just adding Ashton Jeanty, Tet McMillan, I don't know who's 105. Hampton.
Oh, here, sorry, I'm throwing this one up because it has Ayuk and Hawkinson on here. Hawkinson wasn't on the other one.
Okay, now we're getting more interesting.
So this seems to be the one we're going to go with. Yeah, Eric, throw another one in. We'll answer another question for you. No super chat. Go ahead, Shane.
No super chat for you. Penis, dick, and cans, baby. Anyway, Robert Dak, Kansas, Hawkinson. What's that? I don't know. Do we want to just draft Jeanty here, first of all, at 101, or do we want to move that for, well, first of all, what we always do with the 101 is, right, I'm shopping it around to see what's the best player I can get for it. Like, can I get Malik Neighbors? Can I get Brian Thomas Jr.? Can I get CeeDee Lamb? Can I get players of that ilk? If the answer is no, all
Not
right.
Malik Neighbors, because he already has them.
Not Malik Neighbors. Don't trade for him again. Although he did have Ayuk twice. So if you could get,
Or it's like Jeremiah Smith, where there's 12 of them.
If you can get a player twice and you have Ayuk, try to get Neighbors. Let me ask
You
you
have
this.
too many quarterbacks here. You don't need Dak and Penix and Justin Herbert. Pick one of them to trade. I would trade any of the three. Which one can you trade the easiest? You need to build up your skill players. You have a lot of picks that you could make, but I also don't want to just draft 4 rookie running backs and say, now I have running backs, because I don't think that necessarily insulates you at all. And you're not guaranteed to compete with those 4 running backs. But I'm not just punting another year. You know what I mean? I have 326 first. I have 326 seconds. I can spend those later. But I think if I make a couple trades, maybe I split the 103 because somebody needs a quarterback and I'm willing to take a trade down and another receiver or something like that. Like, I would be willing to do a 2-for-1 there, make the 101, but this team is not ready to contend right away. But I'm not saying I can't win either, because I have these other assets just sitting there and I have an extra quarterback I can trade.
Excuse me. So let's just say you draft Jeanty at 101 and then 103 and 105. I don't know what their teams look like. You just go to the Jefferson, Chase, CD Lamb, et cetera, Attell owner. If you were to add Jeanty and not Chase, probably, let's just say someone else in that range. I don't know.
Add a quarterback to one of those guys.
Let's
add
say
Michael Penix in the 103. What receiver can I get with that?
Yeah, 109. Yeah. Because you can probably just add another top 10 wide receiver to this room. Not another. Well, yeah, you have Neighbor, so another. If you truly wanted to. Like, the only pick that I don't want to say obligated, that I'm most likely to make, that I really, really want to make, is that 101. Because I'm okay with Jeanty. I'm fine with drafting Jeanty if I can't get Malik Neighbors, who I already have, or someone of that ilk. So I do like trading those middle picks. And then the 109, I don't know. Can I get a 20? Oh, here's 326 first. Oh, can I get another 26 first? And then have 4 of them for in season for when I'm competing and I know where my holes are.
Yeah. Okay.
I think in the end, ARich, you have a lot of assets here. You have probably top 3 assets in your league in terms of just sheer amount of value, because you have 3 good quarterbacks. You have a couple good receivers already. Ayuk and McMillan, you can probably trade those guys with some sort of degree in terms of throwing them in, and you have all these picks, and you have Hawkinson. So every pick's available, right? Like, I'm not committed to making any of the picks, and I'm not committed to making every pick. So every pick you can kind of slow play and say, which ones can I trade? Because nobody's going to give you what you think is fair for the 109 today. 103 and 105, you might get a decent offer like that. I would entertain offers on all of them. You're not close enough to where you have to start turning stuff down yet.
Let's do Alex's weekly strategy question. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see your dog. Do you guys put any stock into coaching hires as they affect player price? You buying Bears players with the new hire? Who wants to start here?
Yeah, but to what degree? Like, the way the dynasty works is a lot of people like Bears players now. Shane already said Caleb Williams is going to have a top 5 season. So Shane is the guy to sell the Bears players to.
I'm not buying Caleb Williams from anyone right now.
My point is, there's people that have already changed their opinions on Bears players. So unless you were buying, you should have been buying Bears players before they hired the coach, especially if they're the expensive ones. Well,
you did that, but
sometimes forecasting can hurt you. But I think in this case, if you were buying, I don't know, let's just go to the bottom end of the Bears. If you were buying like Cole Kmet or DeAndre Swift, like, those guys are probably benefits from a good offense, right? Like, they're probably beneficiaries of an offense that is different than what it was. But you probably could have bought them before the news with minimal resistance. After the news, maybe a little more resistance, but you probably could have said, you know what, I'm fine waiting to see who they hired. But somebody like Caleb, let me ask you this, Shane, are you not buying Caleb right now because he's too hard to buy because they hired a coach? Is that the reason? Because it's not because you don't think he's going to be good. You just said he's going to have a top 5 season, but is it too late to buy him?
Yeah. Most likely. Now, So there are probably those people in your league that were waiting for this moment to be able to unload him, to be like, all right, now I can move him because now I'm going to get the most. And the most is 106, and I'm okay with that. And if someone wants to take the 106 for Caleb, I'm going to go, oh, yeah, that price really shot up. Meanwhile, I would have paid the 106 last week. I would have paid the 106 2 weeks ago. Because the one thing I was sure of, I didn't know who, but I was sure that they were going to hire someone to be the NFL head coach there. I did not think there was going to be a player coach situation. So I definitely knew a new coach would be there, right? So I if someone wants to squeeze a late second out of me now, where they weren't going to get that before or ask for that before, fine. You want the 210 and the 106 now, as opposed to the 106 I was going to give you last week? Sure, I'll consider that the cost of doing business. But if you're like, well, I need the 106 and a 26 first, well, then we have nothing to discuss, and I'll just move on.
Are you now buying Trevor Lawrence because Liam Cohen just turned Baker Mayfield into the QB4?
No.
You don't think he can do the same for T-Law?
No, I think Baker Mayfield is more physically talented than Trevor Lawrence, for whatever that's worth. Because I've seen Baker Mayfield put it together. Every time I see Trevor Lawrence running, his big gangly ass is dropping the football off his own leg or something. Like, the dude's about as coordinated as me. So no, I wouldn't be buying high on Trevor Lawrence now. But again, if somebody wants to go ahead and sell me him for the 111 because they're offloading him now, I might do that. But no, I'm not going out of my way. And did Liam Cohen actually accept the job yet?
No, but we were just talking about it's too late to buy Caleb Williams because they already announced the news. You kind of have to read between the lines. The Jaguars wanted Ben Johnson. They don't want a old retread defensive coach, so they want an offensive coach. And who's the one that's probably going to get the job? Just throwing it out there. It's probably Cohen. And he just turned Baker into, I don't know. Yeah. Do you see the parallels between Baker and T-Law, Clay?
I mean, again, I always think if I'm on the clock in a startup and I can't trade it, like who am I taking? If you have to make a pick, I don't know, man. I might go Baker. I just don't care.
Well, no, it's not Baker or T-Law. It's that T-Law is getting a coach that literally created the Baker Mayfield QB5 season, and now he's going to Jacksonville with Brian Thomas. Okay, Baker was good last year. He took it to another level this year, even without Chris Godwin for half the year. And now he's got Brian Thomas. I know Cohen didn't make Baker Mayfield. He had his best fantasy season.
Trevor Lawrence had Brian Thomas last year, didn't he?
Trevor Lawrence also had a QB11 season without Liam Cohen. And what was Baker's best season before Liam Cohen, or before?
QB7 is rookie season.
QB 11 last year, and then QB, what you said, 7 as a rookie. I'm just saying there's a parallel there that if you're going to follow the logic of it's too late to buy Caleb because they hired his coach, who do you think the Jags are?
Because I don't have to believe in Trevor. I don't have to believe in Trevor Lawrence. I can believe in Caleb.
I understand that. Yeah. I'm saying that there's a parallel, though. If you're wanting to forecast, don't wait until the hire and then go, oh, I'm going to go buy.
It was Dave Canales that set the blueprint in place, and Liam Cohen just came in afterwards, got the sloppy seconds, and got all the credit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bum.
So we're saying Greg Roman made Lamar Jackson, right? Not Todd Monken?
Absolutely not. Because look what happened when Todd Monken
He still had QB1 seasons with Greg
still
Roman.
The MVP.
I'm just saying, I could use the logic against you as many times as it's being used in favor
here's
of
the thing.
Liam Cohen.
Coaching can do so much, right? Coaching can absolutely highlight a player's strengths and make them a better performer. I don't know. That got really loud. I don't know how much we can actually go, oh, well, you added Ben Johnson, so that means a 30% better Caleb Williams. You add a Liam Cohen, so that's a 25% better Trevor Lawrence. There's literally no way to know that.
As I mess up the banner there. Yeah, I'm just gonna switch. Quick one here. Ready? Is Jaden Daniels the new 101 in startups, Shane?
I think it's still Josh Allen.
Scott?
No, but if you're sitting at 103 and you get him, then 102 and you get him, then you're not upset.
No.
I think it's just the new, if you have the 103 and you're stuck with getting Jaden or Lamar Jackson, you're like, okay. You're not trying to trade up, but yeah, he's in that tier. He's in the tier.
So this one right here from Dan Grimm in the crowd. Good to see you. 12-team Superflex start 11. The 102 and a 27 first for BTJ.
So Jeremiah Smith in the 102. This is the league where there's 12 of them, so I'm guaranteed to get one here, right?
Ooh, man, start 11.
Not doing that right now.
Oh wait, 27.
Start 11. That
years
matters.
Away. That's not even next year. That's 2 full years away. Yeah,
it's not about how far away it is, though. There's already every video we do. There's people in the comments saying, "I'm not trading away my 27 firsts."
Yeah,
27 firsts are gold bullion.
Dan, I mean, just a little more context. Is this a team that you need to split BTJ? Because if it is, then I'll split them. If this is a team where I don't need to split anyone. I got me some extra picks. I got me the 102, the 109.
I'm guessing he's buying here. I think he's buying the BTJ.
He's buying BTJ.
How do you assess your team because the one thing you're not accounting for in this trade, if you trade the 102 and the 27 first away, is the opportunity cost of bailing on your first this early. You've already traded it, right? Like you have to feel real rock solid about your first or the bet on your team to bail on your pick this far out. So you have to be like fully committed to like, I'm all in on this process. How do you assess your roster when you make that deal? Because I think this is a fair offer. This is not is what somebody would want if they're trading away a young player like BTJ.
So, back to what I was saying earlier, though, do I have other picks, right? Because at least I'm hedging then. Like I don't love giving up my 27 first because just the way this is framed, I'm assuming I don't even have my 26 first. So if I have to give up my 27 first and I don't have my 26 first.
I've been told by some people in leagues, I'd rather have your 27 than your 26. Straight up. They just rather have the 27 because people like the 27 picks.
I'm sorry, that's just dumb though. I have to say that. If it's just Clay, you have no idea, go ahead.
Think about it this way. There's only one 101 and 27, right?
Right.
But I think the part that people don't really look at is, let's say my team takes a little bit of a hit this year and I traded my 27 first. It may not be the guaranteed 101, but if it's one of those picks where it's kind of looking like it could be,
right,
all of a sudden that's a way more coveted asset than next spring's 107, 105, 106. Like that's where people are hoping they have a couple extra 27 firsts to go, man, I might be sitting on the one that's the potential point race away from the 101. You know what I mean?
By that logic, though, like, can I get a 2031 first? Because who knows where that could be, right? Like, we might not even be on the planet Earth making that pick. Like,
not a chance.
I don't. It might be drafting. Like, I got the number 1 overall pick from the Munich Stallions or whatever. They got the first quarterback overall in 2032. Diaz is bringing it up. I did say that I'm going to try not to sell my firsts this early. In January, 8 months before the season starts. Now, I'll say this again: if I have 26 first and I have a 27 first, other than this one, I think I do this deal. But it's going to depend on what else do I have. Because I don't want to trade away. Like I said, if I don't have my 26 pick, and let's just assume they're normal and they're not just like, oh, well, 26 is a stupid year. Give me your 27. Let's assume I don't have a 26 first. I don't want to be without a first for 2 years. Like that is a commitment that I really feel bad about. And in the few leagues that I've done it, even in the ones where it went to the title game or whatever, looking at the roster now, I'm like, yeah, but
especially
I really
if you're a
would
little
like
crusty at quarterback or wide
I was going to say, what about your behaviors when you've done that? Have you sat there and been like, I kind of regret doing this? Like, what has it caused you to maybe overreact or panic on that roster quicker than you needed to?
So I'll just chime in because this is very relevant. The Squirt League where Shane just beat me in the championship, I gave up my 27 first I had a horrible run right at the end with injuries, and I needed all three of these players. I spent my 27 first and got Jerome Ford, Devontae Adams, and Tony Pollard. And I played all three of them, gave up my 27 first. Now I don't have a first. And my quarterbacks are what? Lamar, Aaron Rodgers, and some recycling bin. I forget who it is, but
You sure
anyway.
Aaron Rodgers isn't the recycling bin?
He's less than that.
No, he's a trash can. I'm just I just don't want to talk about him anymore. No. So what do you think, Shane?
To the question I asked him?
You asked me
where I jumped in, but yeah.
What was the question?
We lost you. I lost you. What was the question, Scott?
Well, no, the question was like you just said. I'm
yeah.
vowing to not trade my picks this early. What have you noticed when you go to those teams where you've already traded your picks? Like what? Because I think
I'm absolutely looking for a way to split assets on that.
Okay.
Because I'm like, even if all things go okay for me next year, 2 injuries, 3 injuries, which are apt to happen, some combination of 4, right? Either 4 injuries and or 4 players underperforming. Just that total doesn't matter. It could be 2 injuries and 2 people underperforming. I'm fucked. If I got a Kyler Murray, a Rashee Rice, name 2 other people that underperformed, all of a sudden that team that looked really, really
Dak
good.
Prescott and Chris Olave. You thought you were stacked with 4 good assets, and none of them were there halfway through the season.
Right. And then for the most part, I can't even move those players, right? Chris Olave, I can't move. Dak Prescott, I can't move. Sure, I could move Rashee Rice, but it's probably going to be at a discount because he was injured. So I do start looking at those rosters and going, all right, how do I split what's on this roster? And it's probably like, all right, well, I won that title, but guess what? There's a good chance if I sold all those picks, now I'm going to be digging out of this roster for 2 years before I can even start thinking about competing again.
Tyler Cash Dollar got us a super chat. Thank you very much. It's the first time I've seen this screen name. That's awesome. Scott, this is a shallow league, and he shows it with an emoji. 10 teams start 8. PPR, Hurts, Murray, Lawrence at quarterback. Devontae. Is that Devontae Smith? What Smith would this be? Oh, Geno. Hurts, Murray, Lawrence, Geno. Then has Achane, Pollard, and Trash at running back. Collins, Puka, Neighbors, London, Marv, Dunze. Then has the 105, 205, all 26 and 7 picks, and is just looking for moves to make. So ultra shallow. 10 teams, start 8, PPR. You always just want the best player in the deal. So what are you doing here, Scott?
Well, I assume it's super flex because he listed 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It has to be, right? I mean, if you're just looking at the hammers you already have, Achane's a hammer. Nico Collins, Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors. I mean, you could probably go down to, you could even squint and say Marv Harrison is a hammer value-wise. He might not be production-wise, but you have 5 really good startable receivers plus Achane. We don't have a tight end. But what's the credit that we can get for our quarterbacks? We need a tight end. Like it's a start 8, so you can't afford to go, I'll just stream tight end, against other teams where, the teams that are competing all have the elite tight ends. So that's the whole, you can't really stream when you're in such a shallow league. You have too many quarterbacks. You don't need, this team doesn't need Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence, and Geno Smith. If anything, it needs to get rid of Kyler Murray and Trevor Lawrence because you could probably get something for those guys versus Geno Smith. But point is, trade any of the quarterbacks you can get value for. And yeah, even Rome Odunze could be thrown into a deal to get a better tight end. He's your wide receiver 6, and running back wise, you're probably drafting a running back with the 105 in this class. But I'd also be willing to move like the 105 and Odunze. Can I get a running back for that? Can I ask for one of the 3 or 4 running backs I would actually trade for? Try that. You have a lot of combinations of stuff, but you nailed it, Clay. Try to get the best piece you can. What one asset can I get at tight end or running back and try with a bunch of combos of different stuff?
London, Marv, Dunze, even a chain. These are all dudes that are, I don't want to say expendable to me, but these are all dudes that can get moved in the quest for nothing but greatness to go along with my Nacua, Neighbors, and Collins. And I love a chain. It's just I am a little worried about how much of his work came off of targets last year, off of receptions, considering that that's not the norm around the rest of the league. That increase in target share that he saw as a running back. But yeah, I mean, it's not that complicated. It's where am I weak? How do I get stronger? And it's not even weak isn't the word. It's more where am I not absolutely devastating to other people, and how can I make that better?
Yep. So let's go to this one right here. This is from Michael Talbot. He says, just sent in for a team review with Scott and Shane. Can't wait. Yeah, so what he's referring to here are the roster reviews. So email rosterreview@dynastytradesin5.com. Ask us for details. Shane and Scott do recorded ones as well, but ideally they're in the room with you. They're breaking your team down, learning the nuances. You say, hey, let's get you a hammer. Let's get you Jaden Daniels on this team. Well, you already tried, but at least you can tell them that because you're in the room. So email rosterreview@dynastytradesin5.com. Ask for details on that. And we have a peer-to-peer roster review with Ty DeClaire, who will actually be joining me next week. And he's a kick-ass dude, solid at Dynasty. And his product is awesome too. So anyway, hit us up. We'll give you details. Thank you for that note, Michael. Can't wait as well. And let us use your review and content. That'd be kick-ass. All right. Let's go to Sandford. He's on our team. Strategy question, typical DTI 5 format. So 12-team Superflex, start 10, tight end premium. We talk about getting hammers at quarterback. How much are you willing to add to a guy like Kyler? So QB 10 to 12 range for Lamar/Allen, someone you would project to be in the top 3. Who wants to go first here?
What do you think, Shane?
Because
if I have Kyler and it's tough when he's your QB1, but kind of feels like when I have teams like this, my direction's kind of already picked, especially if it's a deeper league. It's hard to add what somebody's going to want for Lamar or Allen. They're looking at my roster going, yeah, I'll take Kyler, but you need to throw in your Amon-Ra St. Brown. That'll get it done. And I'm like, man, that's like, feels like I'm willing just to bet the other way,
Yeah. And that's just bad math, right? I'm not going to give up Kyler and BTJ for Lamar or Allen.
But that's what you'd want if you're splitting Lamar or Allen, right? Like you're not taking 2 seconds for Kyler, not this year. Last year you would have.
I think if you're buying, right, and you're willing to bite the bullet, not chew the bullet, but bite the bullet, Clay. Realistically, I think it's fair for someone to ask for an additional first. Now, whether you want to do that, and I don't know why I said additional, a first, in addition to Kyler. Now, whether you're willing to do that or not, I don't know. Again, what does your roster look like? What type of assets do you have? Because again, it's typical DTI 5 format. That means it's start 11.
It's like a 14 by 11 or something. What pick would you add this year? How high to Kyler? Would you do the 102 and Kyler for Lamar?
No.
Sorry, repeat that for me, Scott. What is it?
102 and Kyler for Lamar or Allen. That's like adding
in a 14-team Superflex. That's what
probably.
That's
like probably not even adding the equivalent of Amon-Ra. You know what I mean? Like I don't even think you get Amon-Ra for the 102 or 103.
I don't.
But I'd rather give a pick than one of my core starters. But that feels like what you have to have.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's move over to Buy Me a Coffee.
Yes, I won't be acquiring.
Let's move back over to buymeacoffee.com/trades-in-5. Someone got us 3 more hammers here. We've got a 12-team Superflex PPR start 9. And thank you very much. Quarterbacks are Mahomes, Hurts. Running backs, Bijan, Mixon, Cook, Chuba. Wide receivers, Lamb, A.J. Brown, Ladd, Olave, Waddle, Shakir. And at tight end, Kelce and Kincaid. Picks-wise has the 105, 106, no 26 first. What should I do with these picks? I was offered the 102 for the 105 and 106 to draft a QB. Should I take it? So Shane and Scott are shaking their heads aggressively. Go ahead, Shane.
Is Jaden Daniels in this draft, and is he going to be available at 102? Because then, yes, I'll do it.
Well, he already has Mahomes and Hurts. I'm not even looking quarterback.
I don't get that part either. Yeah. So I don't know. So it's a start 9. All right. 12-team Superflex start 9. And he's getting the 102. He's having to give the 105 and 106, but would you
No,
what
because
else would you need back? Let's say that. What else would you need back if you're giving the 105, 106, you're getting the 102 and what?
Can I give a player and get back another first? Something like that. Can I give Joe Mixon and get back a 27 first? Something where I'm trading from my excess, but also getting rid of at maybe a little bit more of a premium price. Like I'll give 105, 106 and a player that I would have a trouble selling for a first for the 102 and a first.
27 first. Yeah.
And it's killing two birds with one stone because I don't need in a start 9. I don't need, Olave, Waddle, Shakir, Mixon, Chuba, James Cook. I don't need that many starters, but there's probably ones I'd rather trade than ones I'd rather not trade. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Can I do that?
Shane, thoughts here?
Well, one, no, we're not making that deal, right?
Yeah.
I said the only weakness, air quotes, on this roster might be tight end. I mean, at 105 and 106, I might just go ahead and take Tyler Warren and Fannin Jr. or Loveland, although I might not have to. Yeah, I'll take Warren at 106. Fine, there. I'm probably trying to see if I can move that 105 for. Hey, can I get that 27 first so I can get Jeremiah Smith on my roster? Can I move that 105 for picks either next year or the year after? Can I do
trade
that?
for a couple 27 first? You'll get all the copies of
all the Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, you need all of them.
All 12. Because you're already set at running back, wide receiver, and the only thing you're not set at technically is tight end. I mean, you just listed Chuba as your 4th running back. That's not a bad spot to be in.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I suggested, can I trade? Can I get, I think 105 and 106 for 102 is not a deal I'm reaching to make right this second. But can I then hide something in the deal that I would never have been able to get a first for and get another first? So basically, I'm willing to kind of eat the value of the 2 for 1 in the picks this year.
Mm-hmm.
But can I turn, my Khalil, I'll give you Khalil Shakir and Travis Kelce for a 27 first, you know what I mean? And absorb some of the value that way. You kind of got to be creative. And I don't know if anybody would do that, but can I just shift around the value a little bit? Because right now, if I set the lineup for this team, I'm like, okay, who do I play in my last flex, Shane? Shakir, Olave, Waddle, Mixon, or Chuba Hubbard? And it's like, you're guessing, you know what I mean? There's 105 and there's no guarantee you guess right ever. You have too many starters and not starters that are really assets. So
another someone got us 2 hammers. Thank you very much, Shane. This is a 12-team super flex. It's a start 10 PPR 2.0 for the tight ends. Okay. And you're starting 3 wide receivers. So 12-team super flex PPR 2.0 for the tight end, start 10. You've got May, Penix. You've got trash running backs. Amon-Ra, Puka, Neighbors, BTJ, Marv, Rashi Rice, JSN, and Reed stacked there. Pitts and Sanat is what I like to call them at tight end. Rebuilt all year, traded for guys as they got hurt or played badly. Drafted well last year and traded London last year to the team I thought was the worst. Ended up with his 101, and I have the 102. Have my second, another second. Am I just tanking? Am I just taking top 2 running backs in this draft? Okay. Well, thank you, someone, for your question. So has the 101, 102, and some seconds. And the question is he just smashing running back with 101 and 102, Shane?
ARSB, Puka, Neighbors, BTJ.
It's ridiculous.
Rashee Rice, JSN. Your worst 2 wide receivers probably are Reed and either Marvin Harrison or Rashee Rice or JSN. I don't even know.
Big tight end premium. Big tight end premium. You've got Pitts and that's it. And Sonata.
Yeah, I'm really not sure that I hate just smashing running backs, right? But this is a running back class, and it just so happens to be a position of need. So it's not like you're reaching for them.
You like the RB2 over Tyler Warren in a 2 PPR?
No. So I didn't look at that.
2 running backs then.
Yeah, no. So it's Jeanty and man, this is where
That's high to take. Yeah,
I know. So it's like, can I get cute and move back to 103 and hope that they don't take Warren at 102? And when I do that, when I get to 103, can I trade back from 103 to 104 and hope that they don't take Warren?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the only problem with not taking him at 102. It's either then or not, right?
Yeah.
2.0. Yeah, no, you know what? I'll take Warren over the second running back in the 2.0. I will. So it's Jeanty 2.0. And then in the second round, he said he has a couple picks, right?
Yeah, he's got his second, so the 202, and then another second has some thirds, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could load up on running back there, to be honest with you. Or
what's great too is he doesn't have a running back or anybody right now. He has the 102, right? So it's flexible. But we don't have to be making this pick right now.
And he can also move some of those seconds for running backs. Not all of them, but like, you know, before the draft comes up when those picks are peaking, can I get James Conner for a second? You know, just that I'd rather do that than some rando rookie. That's just how I think I would play it.
Mm-hmm. Some of the most fun teams are the ones where you have to just like live and die with whatever you can scrape by at running back. Like I don't have to waste the 101 and 102 because I have a need at running back in May. So just keep that in mind. You have a ton of assets. You have a lot of assets that people will desire in the offseason, including almost all your players and the 101 and the 102. Like you don't have to be married to specific strategies or players right now. Leverage everything you have. If you need to split something so you can make a couple extra choices, sure.
Go ahead, Shane. Thinking it through.
And if you just always take best player available, is that ever really a bad idea? So if the best player available by the time the draft comes up is Tet McMillan, I understand what your wide receiver room is, but that also does, like Scott was talking about, it does leave you flexible with other positions or other players that you could move, that you could do other things with.
Yeah, you could package up 3 of those wide receivers to get Bow Wow in a 2.0 tight end premium. Okay, let's go to Walsh here. 3 hammers from him. Thank you very much. And then we've got a couple super chats as well. 10 teams start end. 10 teams start 8 PPR, moving to Superflex in 2026. Nicely done. Ended up 4-10. Sold both my firsts until 2027. Stroud, Penix, Bryce, Darnold at quarterback, trash running backs, and he says Garendo's his best, for example. BTJ, Mooney, Shaheed, Pearsall, likely and Kraft at tight end. I have the 105, 107, 108, 2 mid-seconds and 4 thirds. Hammer running backs or try to get some young wide receivers to pair with BTJ. Probably fading QB. Yeah, you're already heavy. Thanks, Clay, Scott, and Shane. No, thank you, Walsh. Appreciate you. What are we doing here? 10 teams start 8, moving to Superflex in 2026. You've got Stroud, Penix, Bryce, and Darnold right now.
Man, it's an ugly rest of the roster other than the QBs, which probably aren't that valuable yet. And it's a 10-teamer. So if there's a league to be overvalued on quarterbacks, this probably isn't the one. I think everything's on the table here. Like there is no, I'm building up with what I have. You know what I mean? Like all the quarterbacks you have right now are probably in their, I would say, value inflection point, especially Penix, Bryce, Darnold. They're all in the could go either direction over the next year or two. Like, what can you get for those guys? I'd be willing to reboot at quarterback entirely and just whenever I need to compete in 2027, just build a quarterback room again. You know, I'm not married to the ones that I have right now. I need skill players. Besides BTJ, do I have a single skill player that will even survive to the point that I'm competing? You know what I mean? Besides the draft picks.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a shallow league like this, normally rebuilds don't take that long. But yeah, this is very asset poor. What are you going to do with the 105 and 107 then? And you have the 108 and then no picks until 27 after that.
I think when you're in a shallow league like this, some of the best things to do is to take a lot of shots on players. You know, you take trade a couple. Can you trade? This might be an outside the box thinking move, but can I trade one of my quarterbacks for? It's a 10-teamer, right?
Mhm.
Can I get a couple seconds and a couple thirds for one of my QBs and take 4 shots? Like, I need to get players that I can eventually either use or flip for better picks on this team. You have maybe one other player besides BTJ that I could see people going, I would squint and give you a first. That could be Pearsall if he's the wide receiver 1 next year, but that's pretty much it. Everything else is just, they are what they are. So you're going to have to probably bite the bullet. See how I used it, right, Shane? Bite the bullet, not chew.
Yeah,
you didn't
chew on the bullet. Yeah,
No,
don't chew the
Shane
bullet.
ate it.
Break your teeth. Eat the bullet.
Eat that bullet.
Yeah,
Get creative.
I was just confused. So he sold his own firsts, but has multiple firsts. So did he split those firsts?
So he doesn't have his 26 or 27 first.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he traded his firsts for multiple firsts. I'm just curious.
He sure as hell didn't get players unless he spent a first on Pearsall.
I read it as he's without those future picks. That's just the way.
Right. He doesn't have his. It's just I was curious, and I mean he's not within the room with us, so maybe it's just I should have kept the thought in my head.
Email RosterReview at dynastytradesand5.com and they can be in the room with you.
All you did was stare at the roster. You go, what the hell did he buy with those picks? Because he doesn't have anything.
No, you know what? And I've had teams where I have one team I'm looking at right now. I'm like, what did I spend everything on? Like I'd like to reconstruct how I got there. You know what I mean? Like just the Memento. Is that it? The movie where he started out backwards, like Memento. Like I'd like to start out from the ending and then figure out how I got there. Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, let's keep rolling here. I did turn off super chats because we're gonna have to stop at some point tonight here. We've got a couple in the hopper and then a couple more hammers. We may not be able to hit like the most recent 2. My apologies if that's the case. I'm gonna do a jump on live myself, Dynasty Trades with the guy in the middle one of these days to answer just regular questions in the comments as well. So anyway, we'll do our best. Let's move on to this super chat from The Life of Liam. Cool capitalization action. I'm not a Stephen A fan. Tanked the last 2 years. 10-team, 1 QB, start 9, no tight end premium. I have Jaden Daniels, Marv, Chase Brown, other young running backs, 2 top 4 picks, and 5 seconds. Should I give Marv the 206? Likely. And you're getting JSN, Terry, Kelce, and a 28th third. Shane's shaking his head. Go ahead.
It feels like I'm splitting Marv, which I don't want to split any players in a 10x9.
Shane, there's people out there that would take JSN and Marv very, very close together.
Yeah, no doubt.
Those are almost a wash, and you're getting McLaurin and Kelce for the 206 and likely. I mean,
all right, I'm not some people then. I am askew. I will.
I'm just telling you.
I'm still holding on the Marv.
I think the market is a lot closer Marv versus JSN than they are looking at this deal like you're splitting Marv. I think you're like, well, I'm giving Marv and getting JSN. That's probably, what would you say, Clay? Like at least a third of people would rather have JSN or close to it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair to say. Yeah, 70%, 65% Marv, the rest JSN maybe.
I think the only thing here's what you're doing, I think, that makes this deal a little difficult to do right now. What are we getting that you're very confident in just having for the next 8 months? Are you super confident in having a 2028 third? That's one you have to write down in the chat. Make sure you execute it after the draft.
yeah.
It's not even available yet, right?
That's one of those, like, after the draft, I'll realize, like, wait a minute, I traded for a 28 third in 2025.
Yeah, it hasn't actually been processed to me yet. Yeah.
And
I mean, you're giving up
the league, and you have to repin the fact that
you
28.
You drafted Donovan McNabb Jr. He should be on my roster.
In a 10-team 1 QB, you would trade the 206 for Terry McLaurin. We're gonna do a wide receiver show coming up. Like you would pay that price for McLaurin in a 1 QB, right? But then, give me Isaiah Likely over Travis Kelce easily. Just from a what can I do going forward angle, right? Like, especially with the Andrews narrative after the loss and the Kelce narrative if he doesn't play anymore. Like, why are you doing this trade would be my question. If you just told me I think JSN's better than Marv and I really want to get Terry McLaurin, then I could leave the deal right there and say fine. Yeah. But I think you're just getting a lot of stuff, and then you're going to look up and go, why did I make that trade again? You know, all I got was JSN. That's pretty much all I got out of that deal.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And then, good. That's fine.
No, you got something to say?
No.
Get another 28 third and Shane will do it.
No, it's just it is interesting. Like, how close are JSN and Marv right now? You know, I know JSN had a really good year, but Marv also had, despite what we want to believe, a good rookie year. I mean, not for what we expected, but he still had a very good rookie year.
Would you be more likely or interested in tiering, quote unquote, down from Marv to JSN, or tiering, quote unquote, up from JSN to Marv?
On KTC,
for me, it's the former. But go
Marv,
ahead.
Ladd, and JSN are all within 0.17%. They're literally the exact same.
That's the same tier.
Marv and JSN, I don't think you're getting, unless you just get the person to admit they like one better than the other. It's maybe a third to switch places on a roster. So I think you could almost cancel those out.
Shane, Thomas Kwan, thank you for the sorry for how I said that. Thomas Kwan, thank you for the super chat. Shane, trading for CMC worth it at this point? Is he past the point of no return? I got offered Christian McCaffrey for 109. The team is really good, but can't get over the hump. I think you're 109 or Christian McCaffrey.
What's the format?
Let's assume. What is the format? Let's go shallow. Let's go 10 team. Like,
if it's like a 1 QB shallow league, then I'm okay doing this. If it's a super flex 2 PPR, like, there's no reason to do this, you know, because as much as I think McCaffrey could be good, there's other running backs that could be just as good that also are not going to cost you a first. So it's just, I want some McCaffrey. There's a world where he comes back and he's good. I just don't think I have to pay a first, especially in a league where those picks at the end of the first are going to hold maybe not more value, but I can do more with them over the next couple months. But I don't think it's a terrible bet. Like, I do want to have some McCaffrey next year. People just left him for dead. Like, one thing that we've kind of learned is players that were elite, they tend to not just come back and absolutely suck. You know what I mean? Like, he may never be the asset but if I'm going to bet on a guy to come back and even be just a top 8 running back, I'll bet on him versus others.
Yeah. I don't want to give up on him, but I also don't want to have to pay it first to get him. So I'm probably going to be getting absolutely no CMC. I mean, if someone wants to take a couple seconds off me, I'm willing to take that risk, but at first, not so much.
So we have a hammer from a bed in from buymeacoffee.com/trades-in-5. Thank you for filling out the form. So this is a 12-team 2QB PPR start 9. Allen, Lawrence, Penix, Levis at quarterback. Achane, Ken Walker, Chuba Hubbard, Tracy, and Trash at running back. Tyreek, Cup, Ridley, Amari, Keenan, Dijon, Ayo, Hawkinson, and Goddard, and Barner at tight end. 2027 first. It is a low activity league. Give Josh Allen, get Jordan Love, and Puka Nacua. What do you think? 12-team 2QB. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, you said A-bet, and I immediately said Abed. I'm not sure which one it is, but it could be either one. But then we're so close to the end of the season. Like, the season just ended. But, like, it's just funny how people will list, like, Levis, Dijon, and AJ Barner, but then they'll specify cans elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like, it's just funny how, like, those guys haven't reached can status, but I'm sure there's players that are listed under cans that are, I mean, are they any worse than, although according to our most recent Mannequin Chill, Shane is buying Will Levis. Just let the whole crowd know. Shane is buying Will Levis.
No, I'm all in on him. Like, I'm willing to, like, overpay for him. That was
there was a comment in the chat that was like, why listen to this clown? He's buying Mayo.
He's buying Hellman's.
Like, Yeah, Shane will buy Will Levis for a third or a fourth. That was the whole conversation. And they just skipped through that part of like, Shane is buying Mayo. Don't even watch this content.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's okay because you know what? Everyone in the comments was just basically like, "You're fucking stupid. Go away."
Yeah.
Nicely.
Yeah.
I got to. Never mind.
Anyway, back to the deal. You have Allen. This is similar to what we got asked earlier, right? Like, what is that offer that would make you move Lamar or Allen? In this case, it's Allen. You're getting Jordan Love. He's a top 15, top 10 quarterback, whether you like him or not. And then you're getting Puka. Is this enough, Shane?
Your current wide receivers are Tyreek, Kupp, Ridley, Amari, Keenan, Dijon. Those are the wide receiver rooms you look at and you're like, ugh.
And it's 2 quarterback.
Yeah, it's
not
2
super
QB,
flex.
not super.
Because I was initially going, man, you don't need Allen, Lawrence, and Penix, but in a 2 QB league, like I want to have a couple. Yeah.
I feel so indecisive, right? Because you did say it's right after the end of the season, right? So things are like super fresh in our head. And what's fresh in our head is that Jordan Love was a massive disappointment this year. But if I'm true to my convictions, and my convictions have been Puka's a top, I don't know, what do I say? Usually top 5, but that keeps expanding. I'll take Puka and Jordan Love.
Look at this receiver room, Shane. It is everybody over the age of 30, and half of them are washed up.
Yeah. I mean, the only other problem is the quarterback room. So it's going to be Jordan Love and Lawrence. And that quarterback room doesn't really inspire a lot of fear. Yeah, and Penix, sorry. That doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence after Jordan, I guess. But maybe Liam Cohen turns Lawrence into an animal, and this ends up working out great for me.
Wouldn't you argue on a roster like this, though, Clay? Like, don't you have to split something? Or are you just, I mean, what else can you even trade on this team? It's almost like you have to ride this team out with the receivers you already have.
And it's a low activity league.
So no one's going to buy the running backs from you. No one's going to buy the wide receivers from you, right?
That makes
no one's buying your the one thing you could probably sell would be one of your quarterbacks. Penix or T-Law, in a 2 QB, you'd probably be able to sell them. But you know what someone would offer you for one of those guys? Like, I'll give you a starter. You know what I mean? Because they just view him as probably a placeholder quarterback, not one that's making the difference. They're just filling a gap for somebody that lost, last year's guy that retired. They had Rodgers or they had Derek Carr or some, you know what I mean? They had a starter and now they don't have one. But I just don't know if you're improving your team much by moving those QBs besides Allen.
Yeah. With the low activity part of it, part of me wants to take, because he does need assets, the Love side in that case, because you're getting Love and Puka Nacua. And if it's hard to trade for as is, at least you're getting a couple there. I don't know, though. Okay. Let's go to, we don't have any more supers. Did I answer everything?
Yes.
I probably got one more. But anyway, let's go to the start here. We have a Royce M strategy question. Start at the top. Hope you're well. He says, how aggressive are you all in trading late first this time of year? What assets are you targeting first? And he says, top 4 picks this year, 26 and 27 first, or devalued player. For example, Stroud. Okay, so that's a sharp question, because it's what assets are you targeting? Are you trying to move up into better picks, move back, or players? What do you think?
I'm actually players. Like, I'm looking at the players and I'm going, all right, how cheap can I get Marv? How cheap can I get Stroud? How cheap can I get Caleb? Well, not now, right? Because he's got Ben Johnson. But you know what I mean? Like, players like that. How cheap can I get Jordan Love? Like, these are the players that I think I'm doing that first, is looking at the devalued player. There's absolutely not one league where I'm looking at moving up. There's not one league where that's even crossed my mind. And that's even in leagues where
Isn't that funny, Shane? Because last year it was like you would have given anything to get into like the top 4,
Yeah. And, and obviously some of that might crystallize and some of that might change after next week. Some of that might change after the combine. And I'm sure some of it will. But it even felt like at this time last year, we definitely were like, no. I need to get to that 104, 105 range, right? 106 at worst.
Caleb and Marv were already anointed before we even got to like the college season last year.
And
like,
Neighbors and Daniels
were
were pumped up right around now because Daniels was coming off a Heisman season and Neighbors balled out, and I think Beachy Day didn't catch steam yet.
No, but it was the big four, and then it was certain. Well, I mean, May and Bowers and McCarthy and like certain, depending on the format, but there was a clear, if you could get into the top four, it was like I'm doing that. I'll give up too late first to get the 104 all day. Now I'm with you. Like,
it was literally in the order that you have in the opposite. So I'm going devalued players. Then I want first next year, or the following year, I should say. And then top 4 picks this year. That's where my head's at right now.
Yeah, pretty. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest lesson I've learned this year is the teams that I had the most success on were the ones where, and granted, a lot of people in here playing leagues with trade deadlines. We largely don't. The way people play and the way that people have started to evolve to play in a lot of the leagues we're in with no trade deadlines, like if you're the guy that had an extra first and Rashee Rice laying around in like week 15 or week 16, you could just raid the team that just got knocked out. You know, absolutely. Like I have Rashee Rice and a 26 first. I'm getting 5 of your starters. And someone's like, I don't want to do this, but I just got knocked out in the quarterfinals. You know, here's Saquon and Derrick Henry and this guy. And it's just, you got to know your league. Like there's some leagues where people will say that's bullshit. All you're buying championships, but if it's a league like that with no trade deadline, like I'm totally fine taking my 109 and move. Give me a future first because I know that league I'm going to have some buying power with it.
It's not like you engineered. It's not like you engineered Rice to be on your bench this whole time. It's just shit happens. Again, it doesn't come down to the trade deadline thing. Is what I'm getting at. That's not a trade deadline problem ever. It's
not a trade deadline problem, but I think there were examples where if you had the preferred assets and the person you were trading with understood that, I could go to Shane and go, Shane, like you just got knocked out of the playoffs. I have Rashee Rice and 2 firsts. And you know what I want? Like half your starting lineup. You know what I mean? We might have to finagle a piece here or a piece there, but you can buy whatever you want in those leagues, given that it's available.
Yeah. Here, let me put this up, and then we will get ready to close it out from Jason. Just a quick question. If Penix was in this class, would he be the QB1 and would he go over Jeanty?
No over Jeanty.
No on the second part. QB1? What do you think?
I mean, we've seen Penix play a couple games. But to act like he's just better than Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, I think is a little unfair. They're going to get better draft capital than him. They're younger than him. Like, they were both good in college. You know what I mean? Like, other than we've seen him play 3-4 games, and those guys haven't. That's the only thing. And if you went back in time, you would have never said, Penix. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're just saying, I like him because I know he's not a bust. I think that's just a little of a ding on the quarterbacks this year because just people don't really like him that much. But I think it's unfair to say he's just clearly the QB1.
Yeah. So we have 233 eyeballs still watching here. Thanks so much for joining on a Tuesday per usual. Hit that like if you'd be so kind. Hit that share, all that fun stuff. We are on Spotify and Apple Pod as well. So after these things, I'm going to do timestamps for YouTube here and then also put them on Spotify and Apple Pod. So they will be there in the morning as well. While you're over there, get a review going. What do you think? Wouldn't that be nice? Make me happy.
Write a review.
Yeah, you should. Guys, you want to say goodnight?
Happy Tuesday. Fun stream. We will be... We will be at the Senior Bowl next year, next week. Shane and I will be.
Yeah, that's right.
So look forward to watching Clay on the big screen with whatever he's got out there. Maybe we'll jump on if we can, but I'm looking forward to being able to interview some players and really get a pulse of. Yeah, I think there's a little mystery to this class. Even now, we know some players, but like I can name probably 60 players in this draft class, but 55 of them, I have no clue kind of where I would tier them other than based on their draft capital. So I'm looking forward to next week to see some changes with narratives. And I'm going to really, really pay attention to who the other players there and the other media members there actually are talking about. Like, I want to come. I'm an amateur watching football. Like, I'm watching the practices and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And then like I'll sit, Ray will be sitting there. He'll be like, you notice that? I'm like, no, man, I don't see the game like you do. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. I'm watching it through a different lens. But what I can pick up on is like, who are the players that are popular? Who are the players that, I'm sitting in the stands talking to this other analyst and they're like, oh, this is the player everybody loves, or who does everybody want to interview? Who is going crazy on social media because of what they're doing? I mean, that stuff matters in terms of maybe not how the top 6 or 8 players are going to tier out, but how the rest of the class shakes up. That's going to matter in terms of how I tier players. So I'm looking forward to next week.
And how someone carries themselves. It says a lot, like just character. Like being able to judge character in person. I don't know. I'm jealous. I would love to be able to do that. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's it for me. That's it from us. Good night, and we will see you next time. Be on the lookout for the 2025 plan with wide receiver show, which will be coming out tomorrow. Enjoy. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.